Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the vineyard. Every day, Yahuah is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to his righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of his law. Join us as we seek to be refined by his word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in his way, truth, and life. Shalom and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube Torah portion live stream. I'm Adam and I welcome you. This is part 2 of week 10. If you joined us for part 1, it was kind of getting so long that I decided to chop it up into 2 parts. So here we are in part 2. Just to refresh your memory, in part 1, we had Joseph interpreted the dream. Joseph rose to power in Egypt, and Joseph's 10 other brethren arrived in Egypt to buy bread, or wheat, or grain, because the famine was raging sore in the land. And so we read chapters 41 and 42 of Genesis, and tonight is going to consist of the rest of the Torah portion of week 10, which will be chapters 43 and chapter 44, verses 1 through 17. So let's do a quick prayer and let's get started. Heavenly Father, Yahuah, we just come before you in Yahusha's name, and we thank you again, as always, for the ability to gather together like this in these last days to study your word and to understand. We pray that you give us understanding that we may grow and may hearken into your word and be obedient to what it says. We love you. We bless you. We thank you for salvation in your Son, Messiah Yahusha, and his offering for us. And we thank you for opening our eyes to the wondrous matters out of your Torah. We bless you, and amen and amen. All right, let's get started, and here we are at Genesis 43, and again, we are reading out of the Sefer version, and here we are. And so here, this passage is the Joseph's brothers return to Egypt. And the famine was sore in the land, and it came to pass, when they had eaten up the whole grain which they had brought out of Mitzrayim, their father said unto them, Go again and buy us a little food. And in the Targums, it actually says a year and 2 months had passed. So it took them a year and 2 months to eat up the food that they brought back from Egypt. And Yehudah spoke unto him, saying, The man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And if you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And Yashrael said, Wherefore dealt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether ye had a brother? And they said, The man asked us straitly of our estate, and of our kindred, saying, Is your father yet alive, and have ye another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, Bring your brother down? And Yehudah said unto Yashrael his father, Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shall you require him. If I bring him not unto you, and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For except we had lingered, surely now we had returned this second time. And their father Yashrael said unto them, If it must be so now, do this. Take of the best of the fruits of the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a little present, a little balm, a little honey, spices, and myrrh, nuts, and almonds. And take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again in the mouth of your sacks, carry it again in your hand. Perchance it was an oversight. And it was interesting the other day when I was gathering with our local Shabbat gathering on Shabbat. I had a sister ask a question, be like, I thought a famine was in the land. why, if there was a famine in the land, why did they still had the fruits of the land? They had, balm, honey, spices, myrrh, nuts. So, maybe my only, I thought it was a great question. And, my only response to this was, they probably stored a lot of this up, and they probably had some of this, but really, for you can only eat nuts and almonds for so long, and maybe honey before, it's not really filling like bread is filling. And she actually brought up another great point that, the grain that they had back then is completely different than it is now. I mean, even if you get like organic wheat, wheat grains or wheat heads, I mean, it's just completely different. And it truly was, the bread back then was really sustaining, as opposed to now. It's like, with this enriched flour that we get, it's quite frankly, it's poison. So anyways, let's keep going. Verse 14, take also your brother and arise and go unto the man, and El Shaddai give you mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brother and Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. And the men took that present, and they took double money in their hand, and Benjamin, and rose up and went down to Mitzrayim, and stood before Joseph. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, bring these men home, and slay, and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph bade, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house, and they said, because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for bondmen, and our asses. And they came near to the steward of Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house, and said, O sir, we came down indeed at the first time to buy food, and it came to pass, when we came to the inn, that we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight, and we have brought it again in our hand. And other money have we brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks. And he said, peace be to you, fear not. Your Elohim and the Elohim of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money. And he brought Shimon out to them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house, and gave them water, and they washed their feet. And he gave their asses provender. And I guess, as we know, this was kind of common back then. They all wore sandals back then. And as you can imagine, walking through the desert, and quite frankly, even just, the dirt, your feet get really, really dirty. And so they got their feet washed. And obviously it makes me think of Yahusha, and when he washed the apostles' feet. It's a humbling thing. I don't know if you've ever washed somebody else's feet, or you've had your own feet washed. It's a pretty humbling thing. So it really gives a full depth to what Yahusha was doing at that Last Supper, that he, the master of all, I mean, he's the Adonai, the master of all of us, and he humbled himself and washed the feet. It's a very lowly thing to do. And, let's not forget that he said, we're to serve one another. So, man, if that's the example he gave for us, certainly we must serve each other. And, I don't know, really just love each other. And it grieves me when I see there being a lacking in the community with that. But great news. We had a little get-together yesterday with some of the other brothers in the community. It was nice. We all had some things that we don't agree that we each teach or share, but it was good to see people get together regardless of differences. As long as the core stuff is there, believing in the Father, that he sent his Son, that through his offering we can be cleansed, and believing on him, and walking as Messiah Yahusha walked, keeping the commandments. I think if we can agree on those things, I think we can call each other brethren, and we should be long-suffering and loving to each other. So anyways, and they washed their feet, and he gave their asses provender. And they made ready their present against Joseph came at noon, for they had heard that they should eat the bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed themselves to him in the earth. And he asked them of their welfare, and said, Is your father well? The old man of whom you spoke, is he yet alive? And they answered, Your servant our father is in good health, he is yet alive. And they bowed down their heads and made obeisance. There it is again. Remember Joseph's dream? He had two dreams where his brethren bowed down to them. So truly, Yahuwah can speak to us in dreams. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke unto me? And he said, Elohim be gracious unto you, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his heart did yearn upon his brother, and he sought where to weep. And he entered into his chamber and wept there. This is Torah, It's okay for men to weep, especially, when your heart is just, in sheer agony or in sheer just joy. I mean, because Joseph is obviously overjoyed here. So it's okay. It's okay to weep. David wept. Yahusha wept, right? And he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, Sit on bread. And they sat on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Mitzrayim, which did eat with him by themselves, because the Mitzrayim might not eat bread with the Ivrim, for that is an abomination to the Mitzrayim. And the Targums actually clears this up a little bit, what the abomination is. It says that the Mitzrayim would not eat with the Hebrews because the Hebrews eat of the animals that the Mitzrayim worship. So they worship cattle, which puts a little context into why the Israelites, when they left Egypt, the very first thing they did, as soon as Moshe was gone for some time, they made the golden calf. It's because the Egyptians worshipped the calf, or worshipped the cow, and they didn't eat the cow. I guess it's probably something similar to like Buddhism or something, but the Hebrews ate the cow. Beef is good. Yeah, we'll talk about meat another time. Anyways, and they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled at one another. And we'll actually, we're going to read the Jasher portion parallel to this here in a second. So this is actually really important here. I'll explain why in just a moment. And he took and sent his messes unto them from before him, but Benjamin's mess was 5 times so much as any of theirs, and they drank and were merry with him. So let's take a look at Yashar chapter 52, and we'll read the Yashar parallel. We'll see a lot more details in here. And they entered their house, and every man opened his sack. Oh, actually, we don't need to read that. We already read that last week. Here we go. And this is when they're back at home with Yaakov again. And Judah said to them, Refrain ye from him until the corn is finished. So this is when they're saying that, hey, we can't go back until... Judah's basically saying, we can't go back. He said, don't worry. Wait until the food is finished. Then Yaakov, our father, will send us. So, and Yehudah said to them, Refrain ye from him until the corn is finished. And then he will say, Take down your brother, when he will find his own life and the life of his household in danger from the famine. So again, he's saying, just wait. He's like, just don't worry. Just wait till the food's gone. Dad's going to send us. Father's going to send us, and we'll go with Benjamin at that time. So just be patient. And in those days, a famine was sore throughout the land, and all the people of the earth went and came to Egypt to buy food, for the famine prevailed greatly amongst them. The sons of Yaakov remained in Canaan 1 year and 2 months until their corn was finished. Excuse me, I said the Targums earlier. Jasher tells us this. And it came to pass, after their corn was finished, the whole household of Yaakov was pinched with hunger. And all the infants of the sons of Yaakov came together, and they approached Yaakov. And they all surrounded him, and they said unto him, Give unto us bread, and wherefore shall we perish through hunger in thy presence? Can you imagine, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 babies surrounding you, like, we're hungry. I'd be like, whatever you want. I love you. I love little children. They're just so cute. Maybe it's because I have some, I don't know. Yaakov heard the words of his son's children, and he wept a great weeping, and his pity was roused for them. And Yaakov called unto his sons, and they all came and sat before him. And Yaakov said unto them, And have you not seen how your children have been weeping over me this day, saying, Give unto us bread? And there is none. Now therefore return and buy for us a little food. And Yehudah answered and said to his father, If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy corn for thee. And if thou wilt not send him, then we will not go down. For surely the king of Egypt particularly enjoined us, saying, You shall not see my face unless your brother be with you. For the king of Egypt is a strong and mighty king, and behold, if we shall go to him without our brother, we shall all be put to death. Dost thou now know, and hast thou not heard, that this king is very powerful and wise, and there is none like unto him in all the earth? Behold, we have seen all the kings of the earth, and we have not seen one like that king, the king of Egypt. Surely amongst all the kings of the earth there is none greater than Abimelech, king of the Philistines. Yet the king of Egypt is greater and mightier than he. and Abimelech can only be compared to one of his officers. Father, thou hast not seen his palace and his throne, and all his servants standing before him. Thou hast not seen that the king upon his throne is pomp and royal in appearance, dressed in his kingly robes with a large golden crown upon his head. Thou hast not seen the honor and the glory which Elohim has given unto him, for there is not like unto him in all the earth. Father, thou hast not seen the wisdom, the understanding, and the knowledge which Elohim has given in his heart, nor heard his sweet voice when he spoke unto us. We know not, Father, who made him acquainted with our names and all that befell us. Yet he asked also after thee, saying, Is your father still living, and is it well with him? Thou hast not seen the affairs of the government of Egypt regulated by him, without inquiring of Pharaoh his lord. Thou hast not seen the awe and fear which he impressed upon all the Egyptians. And also, when we went from him, we threatened to do unto Egypt like unto the rest of the cities of the Amorites, and we were exceedingly wroth against all his words which he spoke concerning us as spies. And now when we shall again come before him, his terror will fall upon us, and not one of us will be able to speak to him, either a little or a great thing. Now therefore, Father, send, we pray thee, the lad with us, and we will go down and buy thee food for our support, and not die through hunger. And Yaakov said, Why have you dealt so ill with me, to tell the king you had a brother? What is this thing that you have done unto me? And Yehudah said unto Yaakov his father, Give the lad into my care, and we will rise up and go down to Egypt to buy corn, and then return. And it shall be when we return, if the lad be not with us, then let me bear thy blame forever. Hast thou seen all our infants weeping over thee through hunger, and there is no power in thy hand to satisfy them? Now let thy pity be roused for them, and send our brother with us, and we will go. For how will Yahweh's kindness to our ancestors be manifested to thee, when thou sayest that the king of Egypt will take away thy son? As Yahweh liveth, I will not leave him until I bring him and place him before thee. But pray for us unto Yahweh, that he may deal kindly with us, to cause us to be received favorably and kindly before the king of Egypt and his men. For had we not delayed, surely now we had returned a second time with thy son. So Judah's like, listen, if you would have just let us gone back now, we would have already returned. So let's go, Father. And Judah's he is exercising a little faith here. He's like, listen, Elohim's for us. Pray to him. Pray to him that he guides us, and we'll be good. And Yaakov said unto his sons, I trust in Yahuah Elohiym that he may deliver you and give you favor in the sight of the king of Egypt and in all the sight of his men. Now therefore rise up and go to the man, and take for him in your hands a present from what can be obtained in the land, and bring it before him. And may the Almighty Elohim give you mercy before him, that he may send Benjamin and Simeon your brethren with you. Shimon, your brethren with you. And all the men rose up, and they took their brother Benjamin, and they took in their hands a large present of the best of the land, and they also took a double portion of silver. And Yaakov strictly commanded his sons concerning Benjamin, saying, Take heed of him in the way in which you are going, and do not separate yourselves from him in the road, neither in Egypt. And Yaakov rose up from his sons, and spread forth his hands, and he prayed unto Yahuah on account of his sons, saying, O Yahuah Eloheinu of heaven and earth, remember thy covenant with our father Abraham. Remember it with my father Yitzchak, and deal kindly with my sons, and deliver them not into the hands of the king of Egypt. Do it, I pray thee, O Elohim, for the sake of thy mercies, and redeem all my children, and rescue them from Egyptian power, and send them their 2 brothers. And all the wives of the sons of Yaakov and their children lifted up their eyes to heaven, and they all wept before Yahuah, and cried unto him to deliver their fathers from the hand of the king of Egypt. And Yaakov wrote a record to the king of Egypt, and gave it into the hand of Judah, and into the hands of his sons for the king of Egypt, saying, From thy servant Yaakov, the son of Yitzchak, the son of Abraham the Hebrew, the prince of Elohim, to the powerful and wise king, the revealer of secrets, the king of Egypt, greeting. Be it known to my lord, the king of Egypt, the famine was sore upon us in the land of Canaan. And I sent my sons to thee to buy us a little food from thee for our support. For my sons surrounded me, and I, being very old, cannot see with my eyes, for my eyes have become very heavy through age, as well as with daily weeping for my son Joseph, who was lost from before me. And I commanded my sons that they should not enter the gates of the city when they came to Egypt, on account of the inhabitants of the land. And I also commanded them to go about Egypt to seek for my son Joseph. Perhaps they might find him there. And they did so. And thou didst consider them as spies of the land. Have we not heard concerning thee that thou didst interpret Pharaoh's dream, and didst speak truly unto him? How then dost thou not know in thy wisdom whether my sons are spies or not? That's a good point, right? If when Yosef reads this letter, he'd be like, oh man, he got me. He got me good. Now therefore, my Lord and King, behold, I have sent my sons before thee, as thou didst speak unto my sons. I beseech thee to put thy eyes upon him until he is returned to me in peace with his brethren. Dost thou not know, or hast thou not heard, which our Elohim did unto Pharaoh when he took my mother Sarah, and what he did unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, on account of her? And also what our father Abraham did unto the 9 kings of Elam, how he smote all of them with a few men that were with him? And also what my 2 sons, Shimon and Levi, did unto the 8 cities of the Amorites, and how they destroyed them on account of their sister Dinah? And also on account of their brother Benjamin, they consoled themselves for the loss of his brother Joseph. What will they then do for him when they see the hand of any people prevailing over them for his sake? Dost thou not know, O king of Egypt, that the power of Elohim is with us, and that also Elohim ever heareth our prayers, and forsaketh us not all the days? And when my sons told me of thy dealings with them, I called not unto Yahuah on account of thee, for then thou wouldst have perished with thy men before my son Benjamin came before thee. But I thought that Shimon, as my son, was in thy house, perhaps thou mightest deal kindly with him. Therefore I did not this thing unto thee. Now therefore, behold, Benjamin my son cometh unto thee with my sons. Take heed of him, and put thy eyes upon him, and then will Elohim place his eyes over thee and throughout thy kingdom. Now I have told thee all that is in my heart, and behold, my sons are coming to thee with their brother. Examine the face of the whole earth for their sake, and send them back in peace with their brethren. And Yaakov gave the record to his sons in the care of Judah, to give it unto the king of Egypt. All right, now we're going to read just a little bit more till verse 22 of chapter 53. And the sons of Yaakov rose up and took Benjamin and the whole of the presents, and they went and came to Egypt, and they stood before Joseph. And Joseph beheld his brother Benjamin with them, and he saluted them, and these men came to Joseph's house. And Joseph commanded the superintendent of his house to give his brethren to eat, and he did so unto them. And at noontime Joseph sent for the men to come before him with Benjamin. And the men told the superintendent of Joseph's house concerning the silver that was returned in their sacks. And he said unto them, It will be well with you, fear not. And he brought their brother Shimon unto them. And Shimon said unto his brethren, The Lord of the Egyptians has acted very kindly unto me. He did not keep me bound as you saw with your eyes. For when you went out from the city, he let me free and dealt kindly with me in his house. And Yehudah took Benjamin by the hand, and they came before Joseph, and they bowed down to him to the ground. And the men gave the present unto Joseph, and they all sat before him. And Joseph said unto them, Is it well with you? Is it well with your children? Is it well with your aged father? And they said, It is well. And Yehudah took the record which Jacob had sent, and gave it into the hand of Joseph. And Joseph read the letter, and knew his father's writing. And he wished to weep, and he went into an inner room, and he wept a great weeping, and he went out. Whew, that's got to be, that had to have been rough. And he lifted up his eyes, and beheld his brother Benjamin. He said, Is this your brother of whom you spoke unto me? And Benjamin approached Joseph, and Joseph placed his hand upon his head, and he said unto him, May Elohim be gracious unto thee, my son. And when Joseph saw his brother, the son of his mother, he again wished to weep, and he entered into the chamber, and he wept there. And he washed his face, and went out, and refrained from weeping, and he said, Prepare food. And Joseph had a cup. Now listen closely. This is very important for this Torah portion. And Joseph had a cup from which he drank, and it was of silver beautifully inlaid with onyx stones and bdellium. And Joseph struck the cup in the sight of his brethren whilst they were sitting to eat with him. And Joseph said unto the men, I know by this cup that Reuben the firstborn, Shimon, and Levi, and Yehudah, Issachar, and Zebulun are children from one mother. Sit yourselves each according to your births. And he also placed the others according to their births, and he said, I know that this your younger brother has no brother, and I like him have no brother. He shall therefore sit down to eat with me. So this is going to be important because we're going to see a little bit later the Torah is not very clear, because without the book of Yashar, it actually makes it seem like Joseph actually divines with a cup, and it leads you to be like, well, it's against Torah to divine, so why would Joseph divine? But here in the book of Yashar, we understand that he wanted to seat them according to their births and according to their mothers. And, if he didn't make the excuse of being like, I'm divining by this cup, and his brothers would be like, okay, how do you know this? Like, what's up with you? Like, how do you know that? Like, nobody should know that. You know what I mean? So, this gives us the backstory. And Benjamin went up before Joseph and sat up on the throne, and the men beheld the acts of Joseph, and they were astonished at them. And the men ate and drank at that time with Joseph. And he then gave presents unto them, and Joseph gave one gift unto Benjamin, and Manasseh and Ephraim saw the acts of their father, and they also gave presents unto him. And Asenath gave him one present, and they were 5 presents in the hand of Benjamin. So this explains to us why his mess was 5. And Joseph brought them out wine to drink, and they would not drink. And they said, From the day on which Joseph was lost, we have not drunk wine, nor eaten any delicacies. And Joseph swore unto them, and he pressed them hard, and they drank plentifully with him on that day. And Joseph afterward turned to his brother Benjamin to speak with him. And Benjamin was still sitting upon the throne before Joseph. And Joseph said unto him, Hast thou begotten any children? And he said, This servant has 10 sons. These are their names: Bela, Becher, Ashbal, Gera, Naaman, Achi, Rosh, Mupin, Chupim, and Ord. And I call their names after my brother whom I have not seen. And he ordered them to bring before him his map of the stars. This is really interesting. Whereby Joseph knew all the times. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, I have heard that the Hebrews are acquainted with all wisdom. Dost thou know anything of this? And Benjamin said, Thy servant is knowing also in all the wisdom which my father taught me. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, Look now at this instrument, and understand where thy brother Joseph is in Egypt, who you said went down into Egypt. And Benjamin beheld that instrument with the map of the stars of heaven, and he was wise and looked therein to know where his brother was. And Benjamin divided the whole land of Egypt into 4 divisions. And he found that he who was sitting upon the throne before him was his brother Joseph. And Benjamin wondered greatly. And when Joseph saw that his brother Benjamin was so much astonished, he said unto Benjamin, What hast thou seen, and why art thou astonished? And Benjamin said unto Joseph, I can see by this that Joseph my brother sitteth here with me upon the throne. And Joseph said unto him, I am Joseph thy brother. Reveal not this thing unto thy brethren. Oh, how joyful this would be. Reveal not this thing unto thy brethren. Behold, I will send thee with them when they go away, and I will command them to be brought back again to the city, and I will take thee away from them. And if they dare their lives and fight for thee, then shall I know that then they have repented of what they did unto me, and I will make myself known unto them. And if they forsake thee when I take thee, then shalt thou remain with me, and I will wrangle with them, and they shall all go away, and I will not be known to them. So we'll stop there. So it is really interesting, and this should come as no surprise that there is wisdom in the stars. I mean, what is it? Psalm 19 says, The heaven declares the glory of Yah, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Day unto day utters speech, and night unto night shows knowledge. Right? So the heaven speaks. The prophecy is written in the stars. Now, there is a huge difference between astrology, which is divining one's self through the stars, and astronomy, biblical astronomy, which is like prophecy, Yahweh's prophecy in the stars. Let's not be hasty to forget the wise men that knew of the birth of Messiah Yahusha. They knew it how? By the stars. So it is pretty interesting, and I keep telling myself I really want to learn more and more about the stars, but it's like, man, I'm just totally busy with the word, really. There is actually an interesting conjunction today of 2 planets. One of them is the planet called Zedek in Hebrew. I don't even want to mention the pagan names of these, the pagan god names of these anymore. But a lot of you have heard that conjunction. And what's interesting about that conjunction is the 2 players in that is one of them was the man-child that was birthed in the Revelation 12 sign from back in 2017, which, in my opinion, represents the 144,000, or really his set-apart people. And the other one, with the one with the ring around it, that typically represents Satan. So it's all, to me, I'm not an expert in understanding the stars by any means, but to me, on the surface, it would seem like it's almost like a clash between Satan and the people of the Most High. So I know a lot of us have been experiencing some sort of trials and tribulations and persecutions and just tough times in general. And perhaps this is the cause of it. Perhaps this is just the beginning, and there's much more to come. So we'll have to see. But again, I am no true interpreter of the stars, so I can't give you a real true interpretation thereof. And let's see. forgive me, I'm going to have to cut this a little short. There's a lot more I really wanted to read, but I actually have a family. Don't worry, everything's okay, but I have a family emergency, and I've got to actually pack up, and I'm leaving first thing in the morning I'm driving out to Los Angeles. I'm not flying with all this going on, but I'm driving out to Los Angeles to take care of some family emergencies. So don't worry, I'm taking my ministry computer with me, and we'll be able to continue everything because I might be out there for a couple weeks. So anyone that's in the Southern California area, email me, hello@parableofthevineyard.com. Maybe we'll have like a little get-together, although the entire state is on lockdown, so I don't know how we could do that. But anyways, maybe we'll figure something out. But would love to get in touch with some of you while I'm out there. So let's finish up the Torah portion. So we're going to read Genesis 44, 1 through 17. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his grain money. And he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, and their asses. And when they were gone out of the city, and not yet far off, Joseph said unto his steward, up, follow after the men. And when ye do overtake them, say unto them, wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? So, Joseph was essentially planting the evidence, right? He took the cup that he said he divined with. Remember, that's why it's really important in Jasher. Remember, he lifted up his cup and said, I am divining through this cup and, seating you according to your births and your mothers. So now he took this cup and he told his, servants, he's like, sneak it into Benjamin's bag. And he says, wherefore? And so they caught up to them and said, why have you guys repaid evil for good? We treated you well. Why are you repaying us for evil with evil? Is not this in it which my Lord drinks, and whereby indeed he divines? Ye have done evil in so doing. And he overtook them, and he spoke unto them in these same words. They said unto them, wherefore says my Lord these words? Far be it that your servants should do according to this thing. Behold, the money which we found in our sack's mouth, we brought again unto you out of the land of Canaan. How then should we steal your Lord's house and silver and gold? They're like, listen, I'm sure like all the money that was in their bags is worth way more than that little cup, right? And so they're like, what? Why would we steal? Like, we brought you all this money back from the land of Canaan, and we brought extra money. So it's like, why would we do such a thing? And they're so confident that it didn't happen. They're like, with whomsoever of your servants to be found, let him die. We also will be my Lord's bondmen. And he said, now also let it be according to your words. He with whom it is found shall be my servant, and ye shall be blameless. Now, remember, we spoke about this either last week or 2 weeks ago, where we got to be careful of our words because they may manifest. Where we saw that Jacob had said to Laban, hey, whoever stole your images, let them die before their death. The problem was Rachel actually did steal the images. Where this is different is Benjamin actually didn't steal the cup. They planted the evidence. So that might have been why Jacob's words actually manifested, because they were true. But when they said, hey, we didn't steal this. If one of us stole this, let him die, and be your servant. So anyways, that didn't come true because, Benjamin actually didn't steal it. So then they speedily took down every man his sack to the ground and opened every man his sack. And he searched and began at the eldest and left at the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. And they rent their clothes and laded every man his ass and returned to the city. And Yahudah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said unto them, what deed is this that ye have done? Know ye not that such a man as I can certainly divine? And this is why, again, it's certainly important, because we don't get anything else in Genesis. So, it's left for the person that reads this to be like, if you haven't read the Targum, because the Targums also clears this up. If you haven't read the Targums, you haven't read Jasher or Yashar, you're left thinking, well, I guess Joseph was a diviner, even though it's totally against Torah. It's like equal to like sorcery, and it's abomination in Yahuwah's eyes. But we know he didn't divine. He was just making an excuse, saying, "Hey, I'm seeing you all according to your birth by this cup." Yes, yeah, this cup right here. And Yehudah said, what shall we say unto my Lord? What shall we speak? And how shall we clear ourselves? Elohim has found out the iniquity of your servant. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also, with whom the cup is found. And he said, far be it that I should do so, but the man in whose hand the cup is found, he shall be my servant. And as for you, get you up in peace unto your father. And so we'll just read just a couple of verses in Jasher. We'll just pick back up here where we were in 23. This is Jasher 53, verse 23. At that time, Joseph commanded his officers to fill their sacks with food, and to put each man's money into a sack, and to put the cup in the sack of Benjamin, and to give them provision for the road. And they did so unto them. And on the next day the men rose up early in the morning, and they loaded their asses with their corn, and they went forth with Benjamin. And they went to the land of Canaan with their brother Benjamin. They had not gotten far from Egypt when Joseph commanded him that was set over his house, saying, Rise, pursue these men before they get too far from Egypt, and say unto them, Why have you stolen my master's cup? And Joseph's officer rose up and reached him, and they spoke unto him all the words of Joseph. And when they heard this thing, they became exceedingly wroth, and they said, He with whom thy master's cup shall be found shall die, and we will also become slaves. And they hasted, and each man brought down his sack from his ass, and they looked in their bags, and the cup was found in Benjamin's bag. And they all tore their garments, and they returned to the city, and they smote Benjamin in the road, and continually smiting him until he came to the city, and they stood before Joseph. So, rough day for Benjamin. And yeah, we're just going to have to skip the Targums on this one, so I got to keep this one short, so got a lot of packing to do. So anyways, I pray that the rest of your week is a blessing. We will have, even though I'll be on the road, we will have our normal live stream and Torah portion this week. So I look forward to seeing you all, and may Yahuah bless you all. So let's do a couple things. Let's pray. We'll do the blessing. We'll sing, and we'll depart for today. So, Heavenly Father, Yahuah, we just come before you again, and we just thank you for your word. We thank you for the ability to gather together. We just continue to pray that you open our eyes and open our understanding, because we know that it is you who are the revealer of wisdom and truth, and we pray that you you give us wisdom abundantly, and we just pray for understanding and cultivation of our hearts, that we may bring forth the fruit that you desire of us. And we just thank you for salvation, and for giving us life, and for this earth that you have created for us. And we just can't wait until Yahusha comes and rules it with righteousness. And we pray to be found worthy to be included in the kingdom. We love you, and we bless you. Amen. Yevarechecha Yahuah ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Yahuah panav elecha v'chuneka Yesa Yahuah panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. Yahuah bless you and keep you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Again, if you're in the Southern California area, give me an email. Maybe we can meet on the beach or something. I think the beaches are still open. Would love to just get together, especially like on a Shabbat. Let's get together like on the beach on Shabbat and read some scriptures or something. I'm probably going to be in LA for a couple weeks, so yeah, we'd love to get together with some of y'all while I'm out there. Those of you in the local fellowship, Brother Joel and Justin will continue with that fellowship, and I'll send you that email, letting you guys know that they're still going to get together around here. So, anyways, we'll sing, and we'll see you all soon. Yep. If you guys don't mind praying for me, I do not want to go to LA. I really do not. It's like going into the belly of the beast, but I have to. So it is what it is. So.
I hear the farmers crying, kingdom come. I see the horrifying things we've done. I want to go way down by the end of the road, all the way to kingdom come. heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy will be done on earth, oh hear me pray, give us this day. Let our needs get met along the way, and most of all I pray you, let your kingdom come, yeah, kingdom come. Whoa. All our brightest dreams are shadowed by the darkness of the night. I keep watching the horizon for the slightest hint of light. Give us this day, give us this day. Let your kingdom come. Whoa. It's an ancient story that still gets told to those who hear and those who don't, by prophets and trees and things out of the blue. But once that cry has reached your ears, your heart gets filled by what you hear, and what you hear is just the sound of